Hello and welcome to the Aaron Roussos podcast. Thank you for everyone that has been checking out my stuff, and also either it be foodistinaustralia.com or thebutleradelaide.com.au. Obviously the butlers if you want your house clean or you want some cooking done or something like that. But Foodistin is fascinating. It's all about food as medicine and evidence-based, proven holistic practices. They're pretty much hit every time. And I'm sure there'll be a time where it doesn't hit, or it's not 100% anymore, but there may be other factors that get introduced or whatever. But at the moment, that's all we know, and that's where we're at. But I haven't, I've pretty much been that crazy guy out there for quite some time. But the sort of last few weeks, I don't know whether it be the butler and being integrated into the community and talking to different people that I wouldn't normally talk to. I don't know if that sort of sparked a bit of interest, but the people are curious, and even some people that I'm talking to don't have a clue what I'm talking about, because they're just going about their life. They've got no reason to be worried about humanity or the state of affairs. They're doing all right, and that's okay. We're not we're not wrong or right for anything that we're doing. It just is, But I got a few emails for the first time, and I've addressed a couple of those emails in other podcasts. As soon as I got off, and I was just going for a bit of a sort of sunset drive along the Esplanade, and another one came through, and this one's like you posted a picture or something somewhere of a pass, a AAA pass, which is access all areas, AAA, and it was from 2005, from the big day out, and it's got on there Aaron Roussos Beastie Boy chef, and they're like, oh, can you tell us some stories about that experience and blah blah blah, how did you get the job for that? And I thought, well, that's a nice light refreshing change to all the other mind-bending stuff that fucking makes you have to sort of squint to try and understand it. No fault again, once of your own, it's just the way it is. And so I thought, all right, I'll tell that story. So I moved from Mildura to Adelaide in 2004 to be the head chef at the Adelaide Showgrounds for a company called Spotless, big company. And it was to support all the major events in South Australia as well. They used to do Calypso car race, the golf, the rally. We weren't involved in the tennis at Memorial Park. They have that good tournament, just around before the Australian Open. But a lot of my colleagues, other chefs and hospitality people, would go and help them do those events. We would share staff to get the bulk of the casual staff, event staff in Adelaide. It just worked out perfect between different venues in Adelaide and networking and stuff. That was possible. And Adelaide's a great, cohesive little city as far as business goes. I loved it. It opened up my eyes to events after being in restaurants, cafes and stuff, and pubs all my life. So, and already had, I don't know how many, probably 30, 40, maybe 50 jobs already under my belt. And so that job opened my eyes to another world. I went, oh my God. And I actually fell in love. I'll be honest. And as well as that, you're doing the Royal Adelaide Show, which is 9 days. You're up at 5 in the morning and you're up till 1 in the morning. Try and get a couple of hours sleep if you can. And then 2 weeks bump in and bump out, and it's just a different world. But it's an exciting, and I just enjoyed it, and I guess it suited my personality because restaurants, cafes and that are pretty much all about repetition. They're all about same sort of Groundhog Day, whereas every event's different, right? Every event's different. Every individual event has its own things. It has its own organisers, its people. It really is quite diverse, and each one is startup. So it really suited me. I fell in love with it after not really knowing what to do for my whole life. Okay, imagine, when you're like, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my thing is. I'm into everything. I love music, appreciation, playing this, that. Sport, freestyle martial arts, nature, hiking. I've got that many things that I'm into, or subjects or whatever, that the whole thing becomes, how would I say, so exciting for me. Just something that I loved. I was present in it, having deep, meaningful, very professional, very organised, so you feel like you're contributing, building, packing up, packing down. And so the whole thing, I thought, this is it. I found my calling in life. How awesome is this? And I hadn't had much longevity in any of my jobs. I know now that it's more trauma-based. So anyway, I'm not even a year in, I think. And Spotless loses the contract at the, and it used to support the town hall and all other places and events and work. They're huge, right? I'm doing food safety, audits on hospitals and all sorts of stuff. And they lose a contract, and I'm gutted. And I get another job as the head chef at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. And I'm there a few weeks, and to be honest, I don't like it. Just not for any reason. I think it was I was such a fish out of water. It was so different from me. The showground was still a bit country. There's a social society, Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society, who, I think they have 99-year leases or something on these showgrounds, and just beautiful, salty the earth people to deal with, very fair. But also trying to get the best out of themselves, and it just everyone got along so well. My main kitchen in the showground was across an internal road to the beef cattle building, and up there was Sasha Sewell and his team, and he was the promoter, South Australian promoter for Big Day Out. And this is an organisation that had already been going for many years by the time I get there in 2004. And you could imagine, I've just started a job, and everything is new, everything's blowing me away. And, and it was just mind-blowing stuff. So I go to the entertainment centre. I don't like it. So Michael O'Brien Catering, who runs the Melbourne showgrounds, the Gabba, Amy Park, Eden Park in New Zealand, all sorts of, pubs, motels, all sorts of stuff, they won the contract. And it's headed still by Michael O'Brien. So I get Michael's number, and I ring him up and ask him if I can go for a coffee. And he was a bit curious, but Michael's I call him a little bit eccentric, but he's always thinking, he's just ticking over, he's got lots going on, but he's also quite relaxed and quite balanced in his, his delivery. And he knows that, it's not all about now and stress and all the rest of it. He knows we've got plenty of time. He goes, it's all in the planning and da-da-da, and he knows there's checks and balances along the way. So anyway, we get to the cafe. I'm sitting outside of the Jubilee Cafe. I can still remember it. On the corner there, overlooking the Royal Ag building. And I said to him, I went there and I don't like it. And he said, do you want to come back here? And I said, yeah. He goes, what would it take? I said, I don't know. You tell me. And he goes, all right, I'll give you $20,000 more than what you were getting, and I'll give you a company car. And I said, Michael, I don't see myself cooking forever. It's a young man's game. I'm very good at the managerial side of things, and I'd like to move into that eventually as well, if that can be a thing. So I said, yep, no worries. He goes, look. And so I come back and I'm doing, demonstration cooking at the farmers markets. I get a national TV gig. I'm on local TV doing specials. And the world just opened up in ways that you didn't realise. Michael, also having these other venues, would go, Aaron, fly up to the Gabba and go and tell me what you think of the boys doing the catering for the international cricket. It was back when Freddie Flintoff was captain. And how they all, how the hospitality cater for, international teams. And so I learned lots of things in stadiums, rugby, Melbourne. I also used to do Carrara or where the Gold Coast are. Go to Eden Park for Bledisloe Cup, for banquet, just moving around a bit, supporting, and the guys from the Gabba would come to the Adelaide show and support us with logistical management of, their specialised areas. So, yeah, the system was down pat for major events, right? And obviously, I'm trying to get into the Sasha, who was the promoter for the Big Day Outs, across my lane, where my kitchen, where my office is and everything. And I'm separate to everyone else. I got my own little world down there. It was pretty in a grandstand as well, which was behind the grandstand. and the Big Day Out people are real cliquey, right? Ken West and Vivian Lees, who started it in 1993 by mortgaging their house and stuff. It was headlined, the first ever one in 1993 was headlined by the Violent Femmes. And I was going to say Femmes, Violent Femmes. And have a guess who the support act was. Not many people know them. They were pretty small. It was called Nirvana. Yeah. First ever Big Day Out was supported by Nirvana. The support band was Nirvana. They were the headline. Crazy, huh? So as I'm moving around, obviously MasterChef gets filmed at the Melbourne Showgrounds. Ken West and Vivian Lees, who started the Big Day Out, the first one was at the Melbourne Showgrounds, and therefore they've built a long-standing relationship and have an office with a PA in the Melbourne Showgrounds near our catering office, right? In the same fucking building, part of the building, even it's almost like the same office, right? So, because remember, I'm telling you the story about the Beastie Boys, right? So I'm over in Melbourne, and the PA from Ken West and Vivian Lees comes in with a piece of paper, and she goes, "Oh, do you guys know anyone that have you got a chef that you could free up to go on tour with the Beastie Boys?" And there was no bosses there, and so I said, "Yeah, there is actually. I'm going." I grabbed a piece of paper and I said, "I'll email you the details." And I went back to my I just went around the corner really, and I rang my 2IC and said, mate, I'm going on to the Beastie Boys. And so I still had to break it to my boss, who state manager, that sort of. And I saw it as an opportunity. And before this point, I'll be honest with you, I'd missed every opportunity in my life. If I was working and something like that came up where I had the opportunity to, like, I've got the anthology 4 CD Beastie Boys fucking thing. I'd had it for fucking 20 years before that. Not 20 years, but probably maybe a good 15. I had that for years before. This was and then obviously this opportunity comes up, and everything in my past I was so quiet or whatever. I never took opportunities and I never did anything, and for some reason this was the turning point. This one I flipped the switch and I sent my details in. I said stiff shit to my boss. I had to do this a couple of times actually. I had to go, look, I've done this and sorry, but it also happened later on with getting a TV show gig where I had to obviously go away and film 9 days at a time a couple of episodes of Discover Down Under, and so I had to try and tie it in. So I wore the Adelaide Showgrounds embroidered t-shirt or shirt through like for continuity through all the shows, and I only had the one shirt, so I had to wash it all the time and iron stuff every day. National TV show, I've got one shirt. And so these opportunities come up. I went to them and said, now that's the boring part about how I got to be the Beastie Boy chef. I've also done, the two tribes that did the Prodigy. They're vegetarians, but they cooked for me. That's a good story. But I can't tell it. That's no, I can. I just don't want to. I'm doing the Beastie Boys story. So Mike D and Mixmaster Mike and Adam, the Beastie Boys have them, the production team. It's like two demountable offices. I don't know if you've ever known a small shipping company, but two of them. One was my kitchen, one was their production room / green room, small seating area, like a small cafe restaurant in the middle of that, and then right on the edge of that cafe, you walk on the stairs to go up to the main stage at the big day out, overlooking anywhere from 50 to 120,000 people, like in stadiums. It's just like epic shit. And so the bump in takes about 2 weeks. A bump in is when they start bringing trucks and equipment and start setting and building stages and, running electrical, and there's CAD plans all laid out with the electrical and plumbing, and everyone comes in and does their part, and we get, something like the big day out, we get riders of food and alcohol and drinks and stuff for 80 bands, it's one day. We have 27 shipping containers all around the venue as bars turned to refrigerator. We have semi-trailer loads of cans coming in, designed for events because there's no glass, with beer and spirits being forklift all over the venue, leading in. It's just then for a day execution, you've got 1,000 security guards plus. Remember the first big day out when I, as a venue catering manager, not a chef, and I had to go down to the wool shed and do a security briefing to hundreds of security guards. There was multiple. They couldn't get enough security from one company to do that event, so they had to get 3 different companies, and each would, look after different, whether it be crowd control, the bars, the perimeters, the hotspots, the emergency operations center, the crack team. It was full on. These events, basically you do the big day out, and then the week after, or 2 weeks at maximum, you have a debrief. After you've bumped out, a couple of days to recover or whatever, and then you have a huge big debrief, and then you start planning for next year. And all the emergency services are invited to that debrief, where they can report on how many overdoses, how many fights, alcohol-related fights, drug-related, drug busts. They have a rap sheet and they go, oh, that was down on last year, or or we have any big incidents? Yeah, some guy climbed up on the light tower and we couldn't get him down or something. And then, all right, well, how are we going? What are we doing for next year? Any word yet? Any plans? Look, no, we'll get it out to you. Da 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 da. So the Beastie Boys were biodynamic at this stage. One of them had cancer and has since passed away, and so we were quite healthy. They could design, had a laptop so you could sort of roughly see what they wanted to eat. The guys were all American. The production manager, he had really funny taste. Like, he wouldn't eat peanut butter, but he'll eat almond butter, and he'd just do random shit. Like, I'd spend all day, preparing stuff, and then he'd call in and get pizzas. You know what I mean? He just did not understand you don't fuck with chefs. Whereas the Prodigy, I just prepared it for them, and they wanted to cook it themselves because they said, oh, we've been away from home. We miss cooking and stuff like that. They were vegetarians. I made them an eggplant parmigiana sort of thing with salad and some potatoes, I think, as well. Carbs on carbs, yeah, why not? And so that was how I became go on tour with the Beastie Boys for the big day out. That year, sort of behind the stage where we were at, the Chemical Brothers were next to us, Slipknot, what's that Australian band, Powderfinger were there. There were a lot of people there that I liked. The Muse, the Killers, Courtney Love. It was a real eclectic. So the headline act has almost like a little mini restaurant right behind the stage. Everything, dishwasher, char grill, fridges, oven, stove, you name it, in this shipping container. Everyone else has to go over to the members' dining room in the showgrounds in the grandstand and go and have like a buffet. But because it's put on for all the musicians, it's not just a buffet. There's fucking anything you could possibly want in there, from drink fridges, energy drinks, fresh juices, smoothies, ice creams, chocolates. It's like a fucking Willy Wonka world. You just have, there's no exchange of money. It's just all put on for them by all different types of companies and stuff like that as well. And they theme it. So one year it's arachnophobia, and they have giant fucking spiders and webs and theme throughout the whole room. Then next year, I don't know what the theme would be called, but there was blow up dolls and sex toys, fucking, like suspended all throughout the room and the ceiling coming down, and red light disc corner, and just like every year they themed where all the bands, because it's about 50 of them backstage, One year we had a pool backstage, and by the time we got, that was in Western Australia, in Perth, and we broke it, and it flooded the place. It was the last big day out on the road anyway. That was a memorable thing. So when you do that, I basically just cook. Every city, wherever you go around the world, they've got someone that procures the produce and gets all your shopping for you. They've got someone that goes ahead and procures any other exotic things that you may need or want to smoke or partake in. So you have these people that they get everything for you, and then you pretty much get to each place. It's okay going within Australia and stuff, but when you go over to New Zealand, which is the big day out, did you have certain restrictions on what foods, if they're open, that you can take? Because we had this giant thing. It was like, I think it was a band equipment, for bands and stuff, but like a big roadies box, but we turned it into a dry store, all our goods and stuff. But the guys said that all the roadies and that go like, oh mate, when you go travelling international with this, they go right through every shelf, and anything open, depending on what it is, where it is, whatever gets thrown out in bits and pieces. It's crazy. So that's it. The big day out has 2 stages and 2 setups of everything, and they just bunny hop each other, but throughout the tour in Australia and New Zealand. It got bought out. It was a fantastic event. The most specialist thing that I ever saw at the big day, at any of the big day outs, because you get invited to go to other big day outs and be VIPs as well at the Gold Coast and stuff like that, just to be part of the family. The greatest thing I ever witnessed at the big day out was the day before the big day out. One day, the Foo Fighters were doing a sound check. I think it was 2006. The White Stripes were headlining that year, and so it's the day before the big day out, and I've done all sorts of shit. I've got my guitar and gone out the day before on the main stage after everyone's, most of the people are gone or finished thing going. I've belted out a few numbers, but anyway, I'm up on stage on my side where the kitchen is, and on the opposite stage they have this dual stage thing that they go from one to the other, so the other one can be set up ready to go. And so I'm on this side, on the Beastie side, and I'm just out there. I didn't have my guitar with me, and I just look over to my left, and there's Ken West. So started a big day out 1993, and he's handed a CD to Dave Grohl, and I was like, fuck, what's that? And they're hugging, and they got, you could tell it was quite emotional, and they're talking, and he's thanking him, and just that you could just see that it meant something. And so Ken went off to do something. Ken used to fly around the side on a golf buggy, and basically be an ambience officer, making sure that the vibe was right for the punters. That's how this was like a proper, that's why I think it was so successful, because of the way these guys set it up. Anyway, so he goes off, and I'm like, the boys come over to this side or whatever, and they're talking, and it was a DVD of Nirvana playing in 1993, all the footage and photos from the first ever big day out, of Kurt and them just all hanging out, backstage, green room, all sorts of stuff, and they put it together on a CD and presented it to Dave in 2006. That was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen. The time, 93, 3, 2. So, yeah, so that's how I got that gig. And all the gigs really that I got through that, through doing a very good job. What happened with Spotless, they already had a boutique sort of upmarket arm called Epicure, which they used to run at the Melbourne MCG and stuff. But I brought restaurant food to a bigger catering setting, which is not normally of that high standard, which got me a good name and which held me in good stead to have the career in events that I did, that eventually got me to AEG Ogden up in Darwin and having all the great success I did up there. But the opportunities definitely was a turning point. The Beastie Boys and being part of that, and them, people don't fuck with whoever cooks their food or looks after them. Do you know what I mean? It's like you become a friend, not a family. The whole time I took the CDs were in my bag, and I never once even felt comfortable pulling them out and getting them to sign it, because I thought, you guys are treating me like fucking family. They're coming in every morning, a morning chef, what have you been doing, mate? Having a joke, and you know what I mean? Like, they don't fucking know me from a bar of soap. They don't have to do any of that. And the same with the Prodigy, same with everyone that I was dealing with. So you don't want to fucking ruin the fucking magic by pulling out something and being a normal dick like everyone else. But that obviously catapulted different opportunities, places. That, and I'd already back in 99 had, a restaurant and a nightclub up in Port Douglas. Some of the most, I reckon Salsa was number 1. We were number 2. Nautilus was there too. I only went to Nautilus once and I was off my chops, and I can't remember what quality of the food was, because I think I was on acid. Not that I'm into drugs and stuff, but this was a long time ago. So I think the whole, I guess, take from this for me was that was the turning point where everything, after that I took the opportunity and I chose to make decisions not based on money, based on what I wanted to do, what I was interested in. My attention started going more where my interest lies, and I started going, there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to work in a restaurant with huge, big fucking lobster tanks where you fucking thing, and I did that. I pretty much got to pick and choose what to do through these amazing experiences, and all the way up to COVID and moving to Noosa and having a food van, and then moving that into a restaurant on the river in Noosa, and then the clientele and the people that I met in there and came in there. Some of the people with some of the regulars, John Moulton, Australia's most successful stockbroker, who'd met his wife in the View restaurant I had in Port Douglas, and now is coming to a restaurant in Noosa for the last few years. It's gone, that's what's out there. And if you don't take the opportunities, I think you probably kick yourself, but a lot of people just block it out because they don't want to kick themselves. But that's how I became the Beastie Boy chef anyway. That's answers that email. Any more emails? Send them through.